Hello and welcome to the Green Profit Academy Pros Podcast. This show digs into the challenges in growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit. I'm Christine Era.
And I'm Steve Bousquet. We are the green industry experts in profit, growth, and leadership. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited today. We have a guest, Zach Spicer. I'm really looking forward to hearing his story. And he's has a landscape and lawn care business in Eastern Connecticut, and he's going to share a little bit of detail. I know he has a long history with the lawn care and landscape industry, and we're just going to jump right into it. Welcome today to today's podcast, Zach.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. Appreciate it, and happy to be here. So be happy to answer whatever you guys have for me, and help anybody out if I can, and motivate or encourage anybody that I can. So happy to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're just going to go over kind of the basic intro stuff, the housekeeping. Your name is Zach Spicer. What's the full name of your business, Zach?
So the name of my business is Spicer's Lawn Care and Landscape Design. Surprisingly, I'm almost all out of lawn care, so moving more towards the landscaping side of it. Yep. Spicer's Lawn Care and Landscape Design is the name of my company.
Nice. And I follow you on Facebook, and I love, how you do the posting of the photos before and after and during the jobs. And you also, you have a nice way of like thanking people for choosing, Spicer Landscape.
Absolutely. And there's
nice
a lot of choices out there. So it's definitely something I try to do.
Yeah. It's a really nice touch. So where is your business located, Zach?
So we're listed actually in Preston, but that's my home office, and my headquarters is right here in the center of Ledyard, 10 Lorenz Industrial Parkway, right kind of by AZ and the industrial park here. So if you drive by, you can't miss all the orange stuff and the landscaping out front. Something that we're pretty proud of.
Absolutely. And so that's in Ledyard, Connecticut. And I think,
Ledyard,
you mentioned the orange. That's one of your branding techniques that you do.
Yeah, it is. So when I started, I think I was one of the first guys that ended up wrapping vehicles, because to me, I love the creative aspect of it. So when I started wrapping vehicles, I wanted to make them all a little bit different, but with the logo incorporated, like all a different theme and a different color. And the more I learned about branding, the more that I told myself, as much as my ADHD wants to get all over the place, it's so important just to stick with one thing. And now it's like, now that I've done that, it's like if you see a green, whether it's an orange Bronco or an orange F650 going down 117, they know that it's me, And so that was important. So I found the orange, not that it was my favorite color, but I liked it and it stood out, and I made it my favorite color. So now I stick with the orange. So
right,
I like the orange.
Super recognizable. Yeah, you just see it on 117 as a main road.
Right.
They travel in Ledyard that he's referring to, but all over Groton, Norwich, and the whole Eastern Connecticut. When you see that orange truck, you know who it is. You don't even have to read the sides. Yeah, absolutely. So what's
and it's fun. You know what? It's fun. It's creative. It's a little bit different, and nobody really has the orange mixed with the green and the white. So I like it.
Yeah. It is cool looking. So what services do you provide?
I want to tell you a little something before we go any further here.
Sure.
So here's an old story about one of the first times I saw Steve in the field, and this is before I had any lettered vehicles or anything like that. I don't remember if it was one of the first jobs I had done or if I was working for my dad, but Steve rolled up, man, in the Mustang with the American letters on the Mustang, and I thought to myself, I said, man, that looks good, and that's some really nice branding. It's a nice creative touch, and it looks good. It shows, your professionalism. So, but that was before I even scratched the surface. So, but I don't know how many years ago, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. That's exactly right. Yep. So Zach's referring to, so I have a Mustang that's all lettered and labeled up with American Landscape and Lawn Science on it. It's white. And so our colors are green and blue. So, it kind of looks like a NASCAR. I got the V6, so I wasn't going too fast around these neighborhoods. But that's what he's referring to. Thanks. That was a fun project to do. And people remember the Mustang. It's funny wherever I go. So.
But the creativity, man, that's what makes it all. It makes it all worth it, because it's something, it's something outside of just cutting grass. It allows me to be a little bit of who I really am inside, and because just the landscaping is the landscaping, but when you mix the creativity, man, it translates into the whole business. That's what landscaping is.
It's artwork. It really, really is. So you provide landscaping. Tell us a little bit about the services, just so our listeners can kind of relate to what you're doing.
So lately, like I said, we're kind of getting more out of the maintenance aspect and more into the projects. And I kind of call it landscape appeal. And it's just going into, sometimes it's overgrown yards or yards that they don't have the curb appeal. And whether it's like grubbing out brush or adding a new walkway or new plants, it's just going into something that doesn't look good and really making it look good. And so we've kind of focused on that, and it's worked pretty well. So that's kind of been our little niche.
Yeah. And like I said, I've seen the work. I follow you. It's pretty transformational, the work that you did. You do it, and you do it in a pretty short time. I mean, you're not dragging jobs out.
Right. Yeah. We never, ever try to drag stuff out. It's like, I don't like having 6 jobs going at once. I like to be on site with the guys, one job at a time. Bring all the trucks, bring all the equipment, get in and get out. Because people don't want you at their house for 3 days or a week, or if it's a one-day project, And it's like when they see what we can do at the end of it, very, very, very rarely we have a disappointed customer. And if we do, it's usually a communication thing.
Yes. Yeah. Expectations, communication.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. And, one of the things I've been guilty of with my customers over the years, industry speak. I'm talking very technical from a very, industry viewpoint. So I don't always communicate clearly from the consumer point of view.
Right. And that's something, that's one of the hardest things to do, even in life, and it's like, if you don't communicate with your family, with your wife, with anybody, it's going to translate into the relationship. And, as contractors, we want to be short and sweet, but if you don't explain things to your customers, I mean, you're just leaving the door open for things to go wrong. So if you're on the same page as your customer and they know what they're getting and you know what you're giving them, I mean, you shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. It should go. Usually they're buying more stuff while you're still in the yard.
Right.
They're ordering more stuff for another job.
So,
all right. So what's one of your favorite things, or a couple of favorite things about owning your own landscape business?
Oh, man. I love the freedom. I mean, this time of year is, it's a little tough for everybody that works in the landscaping business, for the guys, for everything, because, we're kind of in that slow period to where if we don't get snow, we're not always doing something. But, the freedom to where I don't have to answer to anybody. I know that, I mean, I don't turn it off very often, but if I want to turn it off, I can turn it off this time of year. I don't really get vacations, but a vacation for me is grabbing my coffee and getting back into bed with my son, or, having that option to do that is, I don't think I could ever go and work for somebody after I've worked for myself for the last 10 years, man. It's just, I mean, it takes a certain person, but I think once you realize what you get in the, it's freedom, but it's not freedom. And, I mean, you're either made for it or you're not, and, it has its ups and downs. The highs are high. For me, the highs are very high and the lows can be low, but, the freedom is the freedom, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Right.
I love working with people. That's something that I love. I love dealing with people and gaining the relationships and the trust, and doing a good job for them. And I absolutely love the the opportunities that it opens up, and so it's definitely been great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. If you got small children like you do, and being able to hang out with them a little bit in the morning when they're still waking up and
Right.
just.
And it's like, if I want to go into work at 9 one time, I can go into work at 9 or 10, it doesn't matter. And, that's a beautiful thing about it. People think that there's a set way to run your business and your landscaping business. Well, there's not. I never, they say, oh, you have to get to work by 5 or 6. Well, I never did that. And but there's also there's weekends, there's holidays that I work, there's late nights. For years we did fall cleanups in the rain. We worked weekends until dark. So we made those sacrifices, but it's never completely balanced.
No, it never is. Right. It's one way or the other way. So what about frustration? What's a frustration that you've had having your own landscape business?
I guess knowing that, I probably could scale my business to something a lot larger, but I haven't put the time into hiring and being organized and putting the right people around me to help me to grow to that level, when probably that I should have already been at a higher level based on, the amount of leads that I have and the network that I have. It's like I should have already been at the next level. And but at the same time, it's like you can't really compare yourself and always say, hindsight's 2020, and I have to look at where I came from and what I sacrificed to get there. So it's like, and it does take time, but it's definitely frustrating when you're understaffed and you got more leads than what you can do, and you don't prioritize that, and you basically paying for leads that you don't capitalize on because you mismanaged it, and it's happened to me. And over time, obviously, you get more comfortable, and you don't always want to chase every lead, and you have to stay hungry all the time, and you have to, if you want to grow, you got to chase every lead. You got to be on your toes all the time. And if you're not, you're not going to be growing. There's other people that are going to be going past you and faster than you and chasing every lead if you don't, But for me, especially if I pay for those leads and I know in my head that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, that's money that I'm throwing away. So I'm definitely guilty of that.
Yeah, that's we've all been there, right? It is very frustrating. And, one of the things that I learned, it took a long time, was, life's not a competition and life's not a race, right? We're all getting where we're going to end up going at our own pace. And there's a reason for that, whether we understand it right at that time or not. At some point we end up where we're supposed to be for a reason. So.
Right. And the competition thing it's like this. So many people see it as a competition, right? But if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, answering my phone, getting back to people, getting the quotes out on time, getting the invoices out, is it really going to take away from anybody else? The amount of jobs that I take away from you or you take away from me is nothing. Because if you're doing that, your business is going to grow. It's not about the competition, because the amount of work, like I said, that we take away from each other it's not substantial. And I really think that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And regardless of, how many competitors there are, I know that if I'm doing everything that I can within my business, it doesn't matter if there's a landscaper on every corner. I'm going to get the jobs. And it may not be every job, but I'm definitely going to, have enough work for me. So
yeah, everybody has enough work in the landscaping business. That's for sure. It's really, most of the time, it's more a matter of how do we get everything done in the time that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know how it is, man. A lot of guys, they see it as a competition. They look at every single piece of equipment that every landscaper bought and what this guy is doing and what this guy is doing. But they need to put that attention into their own business, And, I mean, it's easily to get distracted, and it's human nature to look at what other people are doing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. If you do what you're doing, it's not a competition, and you should work with other companies and other landscapers. And listen, I have other landscapers that, I tell them what I'm doing. I share, little secrets that have worked for me within the business, and I don't have a problem doing that because, and we're competitors, but we're friends. And it's like, but I know if I'm doing what I should be doing, it's okay to have competitors,
Right. It makes everybody better. And everybody kind of has their little niche of their customers,
Right.
80% of our work in landscaping is for the same people,
Right.
that we've been working for years.
Right. Right. And that's something that I came to, because I'm paying money for SEO work on my website. And I came to a point where every spring it seems like, I'm busier and I'm busier, but a lot of these jobs are that I'm getting year after year from repeat customers that don't shop around. So I told myself, is the money that I'm spending on this really worth it? Because I'm getting so much of that repeat customers.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what you want, right? They're not shopping around. They're not asking for the lowest price. It's like they're thrilled with the work that you do, and they keep coming back.
Right. And on Google and on Facebook, what kind of leads are those customers? Out of all those that you're paying for, that you're putting energy into, when you have your own customers, which you could be servicing better,
Right.
It's a fine line to see what's working and what doesn't,
Yeah. And you also are like, how many years in a row have you won the newspaper day number one
so
landscaper?
We won it 4 years in a row, and on the 5th year, actually, somebody else won it, and then we took it back this last year, so we've won it a total of 5 years.
Nice. So that gives you a lot of presence in the market.
Yeah, so that gives us a presence. But I can tell you something. I started advertising in London 10 years ago, and I always seen Sprigs and Twigs ads in there and admired them. They did a professional job with they had the best of logos in there. And I always thought in my head, hey, this would be so awesome if I could get that for my company. And I never actually, I guess I knew it was possible, but I never thought it would be possible. And then, hey, I won it 5 times, and it's like, yeah, it may not be the biggest accomplishment in business, but to me, it's something that, it shows that we care about our work. It shows that we've built a real business, and it's something that I'm proud of for sure.
Yeah, I think you should be very proud of. It's a big night. They have a gala event, and they hand out the awards. And you bring your wife, and you're showing her, and you're showing that the community that you have a real business.
Right,
showing up for the community. It's a legit contribution to where you live.
So, definitely.
All right. Now, this is the story I kind of been waiting for.
Sure.
I think we've been talking back and forth on Facebook messaging for a number of years. But then, I think we talked earlier in the fall. I said, got to get you on the podcast, Zach. I have to hear the story about how you almost died.
Okay. Yep. So when I was 18 years old, I was in between jobs. I was hustling, man. I didn't have any money. At the time, I was working 3rd shift at Millstone, along with delivering pizzas and then kind of doing landscaping for my dad. And I fell asleep at the wheel, and I got in a head-on collision at 7:30 in the morning. The crazy part is I actually hit one of my older brother's best friend's mothers at 7:30 in the morning. What are the chances, right? A couple miles from my house. So I got an accident on Route 2A going towards Ledyard, and it was actually just a couple miles from my house, but no airbag, head-on collision. She had another small compact car. She had over a 3-year recovery. I had about a 2-year recovery, and man, it was definitely humbling, and man, it's definitely shaped who I am today. So it just makes you realize, everything can be gone in a second. I woke up 3 days later. I had, staples 30 staples in my stomach from my spleen. My face was smashed in. My legs were bruised. I had over 200 stitches on my bottom and a colostomy bag on my side. And I was just wondering what happened to me, and I wasn't upset, but just wondering what was going on. And it happens in a flash. But after that, it was like this. Like, I know it can be gone so quick. So to spend $100,000 on a truck, or invest in my business, invest in myself, spend $80,000 on a Corvette for myself, I don't care, because it's money. It comes and goes, and at the end of the day, it's not important. It doesn't shape you as a person. So it's like, if you got an opportunity to do something, you got to just do it, man, because your life is precious, man, and you constantly wait for the opportunity to do something. You're never gonna get it. You gotta do it.
Core Growth Strategies provides business growth management solutions through cloud accounting, bookkeeping, and strategic business consulting programs. Our team works with small businesses in lawn care and landscape and trade industries throughout the U.S. We increase our clients' business acumen by creating business performance transparency through financials and strategic advisement based on industry best practices and benchmarks. Our experienced team provides support, guidance, and coaching, thereby allowing our clients to connect with viable data and discover their own solutions. Core Growth Strategies programs and services are designed to get your business from where it is now to where you have always dreamed it to be. Visit us today at coregrowthstrategies.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Don't miss our exclusive limited time podcast special. Just mention promo code GPA Pro to any member of our team during your complimentary consultation, or enter the promo code on our site when you sign up for one of our online programs. That's promo code GPA Pro.
And that's kind of what I did, and it's always in my head, and it's kind of just, it stuck with me, and it's definitely helped me keep my faith and keep moving forward. So I'm definitely blessed to be where I'm at today.
Wow, that's quite an amazing story. So 2 years of recovery.
So it was 2 years of recovery. So like I had mine was internal. But I had a colostomy bag for 3 months. So I went back in, I got that reversed. But it took me some time just to be able to walk. I was down to about 130 pounds. So it was tough, man. And, my mom sold her house. She was scared that we were going to get sued. The lady that we hit, she knew us, but, her medical bills were so high, but thank God she knew that I didn't have any ill intentions. I wasn't drinking and driving, and she forgave me, and she now lives in Florida, and she's doing great, thank God. And I saw her in church. I had never said anything to her, and I saw her about, I think, 3 or 4 years later, and I just apologized that it happened, And she said, no, don't worry about it, and it all happened for a reason. And she's in a really good spot right now, and I'm in a good spot. So some people don't get to tell that story,
Yeah, that they
but
don't.
It was right. It was definitely intense. So.
Yeah. Wow, that definitely makes you view life and challenges quite differently.
Right.
So you mentioned working in your dad's landscape business a little earlier. So tell us about how you got introduced to the landscape industry.
So I told myself that I wasn't going to be a landscaper. I didn't like landscaping. I didn't want to be like my dad. I got thrown on his crew with a bunch of bums and guys drinking and smoking when I was maybe 12, 13. And I was the weakest guy on the crew. I couldn't stand up. I was sitting down. I hated it. I hated it. And, but as I got older and I got stronger and I got a better relationship with my dad, I started working with my dad, and mainly in the snow plowing, and he was making good money doing the snow plowing, and I started to enjoy it. And the older I got, the more I realized I needed some responsibility. So, and my dad needed a guy, and so I stuck with the landscaping for a little bit. But it wasn't necessarily by choice, but it was the best thing that I had, you know. But I can't say I enjoyed it like I enjoy it now. But you know, it's a job.
Right. Yeah, no, right. A lot of people get introduced to the landscape industry from like their family, you know, their dad, brother, cousin, uncle.
Right. But we did it so different back then, and we did a different kind of work, and with different equipment, with different culture, with different people. So as you grow and you learn new things, and you get equipment and you get experience and you get some good guys around you, that's what's going to make your job enjoyable, you know. So over the years of staying with it, you know, that's kind of what it did for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you start your own landscape business? How did that inspire
that? Was
that?
another thing. So I had worked in landscaping. I still had no money, and I knew when I met my wife, she had her master's degree. She already had a good career, and I said, what the heck am I going to do for myself? You know, I'm not making nothing. Like, I'm a landscape laborer, you know, what am I going to do? And I knew that I had already gotten landscape experience. I knew that my last name had relevance in the area. And I just said, I'm going to start a landscaping business. And because I think that's my best shot of having a successful company without a college education. So landscaping is what you can go out there, you can hustle if you're strong. If you have some customer service and attention to detail, you can do well. So I hit the ground running, and that's what motivated me to start my own thing, is because I was pretty much at ground zero, you know. And my wife already was established, so it was like I had to be a good partner to her, and she supported me the whole time, and that was huge.
So how long have you been in business for, Zach?
So this January was 10 years. So I started January 2014 was when I opened up Spicer's Lawncare and Landscape. Prior to that, I was filing as a independent contractor for even a couple more for I think 2 or 3 years. So I've been at it.
Nice.
Yep.
So what advice would you give the younger Zach? If you went back 10 years, you're thinking about starting your business or you just started, what advice would you give him?
Oh, man. Be as organized as you can. Set up as many systems as you can. Buy things that you need. Think about it. Think about a big decision before you do it. You know, and my personality is, when I want something, I just go get it. I say yes, you know, and I don't always think about big decisions, and big decisions are going to affect you for a long time. So think about it. Take time in the moment. Think about it. Put the right people around you, and stay humble and be consistent, because everything that I have came from consistency. It wasn't in the first year that I got a Corvette for myself. It wasn't in the first year that I got an F650 with a 16-foot body. It's all through consistency and hard work and through the grace of God. So it's, I mean, there wasn't anything major that I would change, but it's just, you know, stay humble and don't worry about what anybody else is doing, because it's not important. You know, Steve's success isn't Zach's success. Your company isn't my company. What works for you isn't going to work for me. And, you know, like we said earlier, it's not a competition. It's really not. And success can be measured a lot of different ways, because a lot of people that have better companies and make more money, they might not have some of the gifts and talents and some of the great things that you have going on in your life, you know? So it's all in perspective.
So outside of your dad, who's been like one of the biggest influences in your life?
Oh, man. In my life?
In your life.
Oh, definitely my mom. my mom, man, my dad left my mom when we were young, and she raised 3 boys, man. She's always stayed strong in her faith. So she definitely carried that faith over to me. And she's a pretty amazing woman. But in business, I don't know. I mean, I have different friends that they all have different gifts and different abilities. So, you know, I talk to a lot of different people, and they've all kind of contributed to, you know, they say, you know, take everything people say with a grain of salt. And I kind of do that. You know, I have different relationships with different people, and you know, but my dad taught me a lot. We don't work together, but I definitely learned a lot from my dad about business and equipment. And you know, he definitely helped me out with equipment when I was getting started and giving me advice. He never gave me $1 to start my business or fund my business or anything like that, but he definitely gave me, you know, a lot of advice that's helped me as far as, you know, how to deal with customers, how to charge customers, how to deal with breakdowns and different problems in business. And so he's definitely been a huge help to me. So less now than he was, but I used to call on my dad for everything because he had been there and done that. So, you know, I didn't need the financial backing as much as I thought I needed it, you know. So the information that I got from him, I mean, that helped me. He told me from the beginning, hey, you got to charge more, you know, you got to charge more. You're not charging enough. And when I started charging people more, you know, it really translated into my business. So, and that's just one thing. So he definitely, I'm forever grateful for that. But so both my parents, you know, in different ways, you know.
Yeah, my mom was a huge influence in my life. She always was kind of like my consigliere. And when I lost her 25 years ago, you know, it really threw me off for a couple of years, trying to figure out, you know, who to talk to and who to trust. And like you said, you have to take everything you hear with a huge grain of salt.
Right.
And people are only telling you what they think you want to hear or what they feel comfortable sharing.
Right. And
you know,
you talk to people outside of your landscaping business that are telling you how to run your landscaping business. Well, some of that information might apply to you, but you know, they're not in your shoes, you know. So, but there's nothing like a mother's love, you know. And I call on my mom all the time. I still call my dad all the time, as much as he might not want to hear from me. I still call him all the time, you know. And yeah, it's, you know, we annoy each other, obviously, but
that's part of the deal. That's part of just like family annoying. Absolutely. Yeah. My wife, she jokes, I'll be looking over at her. She'll have the remote control. She's pointing at me, telling me the mute doesn't work. So, you know, family just annoys each other every once in a while.
Yeah, everybody's different, you know. Everybody is so different, and you gotta love each other. So
yeah. One of the biggest influences I had in my business career was not in landscaping. It was Ed Lord, who owned a whole bunch of property in downtown Norwich. And this guy lived in the same house the first house he ever bought. He lived such a frugal lifestyle. And when he passed away, he left the people of Norwich about $25 million.
Wow.
And one of my favorite stories was I worked for him, and I walked. It was late March. I had just done a spring cleanup. I went in to get paid from his wife, Mary, and all the windows were open. And I'm like, why? Did you burn something? Why are all the windows open? She's like, oh, no, Ed only lets me keep the house up to 62 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So when he leaves during the day, I turn it up to 72, but I have to cool the house back down before he comes home. But it's really his philanthropy that's really, you know, kind of had a huge influence on me. And now being in a position where, you know, we can give back to the community and support things and sponsor things. He's really been a big influence in staying in that town and staying, like you said, humble and hungry. And it's whether it's 10 years or 40 years, that's kind of the mantra for sure.
Right.
I asked you kind of like, what advice would you give the younger you, but what advice would you give someone who is starting up a landscape business, or just kind of maybe in that first 3 to 5 years where they're still struggling?
So, I mean, the most important thing is to do all the logistics of starting a company the right way, man. Form your LLC, get a good CPA, talk to people that have already done it, put the right people around you before you do anything, and come up with a plan. Because if you don't know what you're doing, and I mean, yes, you're going to make mistakes, but avoid the costly mistakes, because business is a lot more complicated than just going out and cutting lawns or landscaping. It's a lot more complicated. So learn business, learn taxes, like I said, talk to people, find a mentor, find somebody that has experience, that's already done it, man, and ask questions, because it doesn't hurt to ask questions. And you can't do it on your own. At some point you need help. If you think you're just going to go in here and start a business without knowing business, you're not going to make it. You're really not going to make it. Landscaping is not a business that you go into, you're going to make a boatload of money and retire in a couple of years. It's not that kind of business. So
no, it's not. It's a long game,
right? And you better be ready to work when guys don't show up. You're not going to sit behind an office chair and not work and think that you're going to hire workers and they're going to make you all this money. It's not going to work out. And I've never done that. I work in the field, and I get my hands dirty. I don't mind that. And I've told my friend, listen, I don't care. If somebody wants to work for me, they can work for me, but I can do the job myself. And you can't be scared to get out there and work. And, I haven't had the luxury of always having a huge team, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not scared to get out there and work. And you especially when you're first starting, you have to get out there and get the job done, man.
Yep. That's great advice. So what's the future hold for Zach?
Oh, man. So I always say, Steve, wherever God wants to take me, whatever his plan is for me is where I want to go. If it's in landscaping, if it's a $3 to $5 million landscaping company, I'm all for it. I'm not scared to invest. So, if it's a 100-man team, for my landscaping business, I'm there. If it's completely out of landscaping and there's a different plan for my life, I mean, I will analyze it and make sure it makes sense. But I'm open to different things. I mean, if it's a merger with Lawn Science, I'm open to things. It's wherever the Lord wants to take me, man. And but I'm not going to stop growing my business and working hard and trying to improve every year.
Yep, I think that's the key, right? Working hard, improving every year.
Right, improve. Putting systems in place, working on getting better help. Do I want to do $50,000 or $100,000 projects? Not really. I like these medium-sized projects, kind of what I'm into right now. And I've just got it to where I'm almost completely out of maintenance, to where I'm focusing on these projects. So one at a time, and we're going to see where that leads. And I mean, does that mean that I won't be into maintenance in 5 years? Who knows? Things can change. Maybe I'll have more staff. I don't know. But every year is different, but it's been good. I mean, I think every year since I've been in business, my numbers every year have grown. Every single year. I've never had up year, down year. So it's always climbing up, and I want to stay on that pattern.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, is there anything you would like to share before we conclude this podcast?
Oh, man. I don't know. Well, to anybody that's in a tough spot, that's interested in landscaping, that wants to start their own thing, you really can do whatever you put your mind to. I put my mind to it, and I think there's people that they're going to doubt you along the way and say that you can't do this or you can't do this. You can't grow a business working in the field. No, you have to be a mechanic in your shop fixing the lawnmowers. You can't pay people to do this. And it's all nonsense, because you can do whatever you put your mind to. And when you do that and you put God at the forefront of your life and you have faith, man, there's no limitations on. So that's what I told you, man. If I want to have, a $5 million company, I don't doubt that that's something. I know all things are possible through Christ that strengthens me. And I'm truly a testament of that, because what's happened in my life, man. I went from nothing. I lived in a house for 3 years with no heat, Steve. My olive oil was frozen solid on the counter. I had no money to my name. And man, since then, I got a beautiful wife, 2 kids, successful business. So it's like that's success to me. And not only through that, this year I found myself in who I am and who I want to be as a businessman, as a husband, as a man of God. And that's really what's important, man. That's what life is about. Finding that, working with great people, helping others, and that's what business should be about. It's not your success, my success compared to yours. It's where did you start and where are you now? And I'm a true testament to that.
100%. I had a post on Facebook around the holidays, and I shared that I thought business was about money and about, what I could accomplish. And over 40 years, I've learned it's about people. It's about your community, and it's about bringing everybody, success, that tide of success rises all ships. So it's really, about building a better you, building a better community. And the money is important, but it's only a product that helps build that better you and the better community that you're in.
And the money comes. You do the right thing, the money comes. You do a good job for people, you get more customers. You have to stay consistent. And what most people do that start out doing landscaping, they work it for 2 to 3 years. They hit a max on where they are with their numbers and how far they've grown their company. And what do? They quit because of every little thing that goes wrong. One thing can just make somebody quit, and you have to stay consistent with it. And if you stay consistent with it, you can do really well with it.
Yeah. Well, that's really great advice. Zach, thank you so much for sharing that story. It was the first time I heard it. I kind of held off on asking you before because I wanted to hear it on the podcast. And, Zach's kind of an inspiration to the younger landscape guys in our community. And for me, it's exciting to see younger guys coming into this, younger people, women and men coming into this industry, because it's an industry I absolutely adore and love. I'm always supporting it as much as I can, whenever I can. And so, Zach, thank you for coming on today's podcast.
Anytime.
Thank you for being who you are. And I've watched your growth and development over the past few years. It's quite inspirational.
Absolutely. So, thank you. I get to look up to guys like you, man.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this podcast, and we look forward to you joining us on the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Green Profit Academy Pros Podcast,
the show that digs into the challenges of growing a lawn care and landscape business while maximizing your profit.